What's good YouTube, Ben here, welcome to the next video on the channel. In this one, I'm going to give you my next Steel Path viable build on Warframe. This is going to be for Excalibur Umbra and Exalted Umbra Blade. Let's get into this. Right, okay, so Excalibur Umbra is a Warframe that most people have, and in fact, I've recently just put my full build on him finally. So quickly, we'll go over his abilities, and then what I've subsumed, and then we'll go through the build. So his passive, Umbra exhibits sentience in combat without transference control, attacks 10% faster and deals 10% more damage whilst wielding swords, which is very important for his exalted weapon, Exalted Umbra Blade, along with any other sword you want to wield on him. We've got slash and dash through enemies alongside a Radial Spectre. The powerful Exalted Blade slashes inflict slash status. We've got Radial Howl, let out a ferocious howl that stuns nearby enemies and causes sentience to shed any built-up resistances, which is incredibly good for sentient kills. I've subsumed Gloom over his third ability to summon a Radial Pulse Wave that ensnares and slows enemies, siphoning their life force for the death well. Allies within the wave steal health with each attack. And then Exalted Blade, summon a sword of pure light and immense power. So that's his exalted weapon. Now we'll go over his build very quickly. So, Steel Charge in the aura slots, the squad receives 60% plus melee damage. Umbral Intensify, 77% ability strength, plus 19.2% tower resistance. And of course, it enhances by other mods in the set. These are automatically enabled on him. Umbral Fiber, so 180% armor and 19.8% tower resistance. Umbral Vitality for 180% health and 19.8 tower resistance. So again, all of these then boost from each other. So you get a bunch of armor, bunch of health, and bunch of tower resistance. We've got Primed Flow for 185% energy max. We have Blind Rage for 99% ability strength and plus 55% ability efficiency. Hunter Adrenaline, convert 45% of damage on health to energy. Without shields, Ally Overguard imitates health. So every time you take health damage, you gain energy, which is really good for him. Prime Continuity for 55% ability duration. And Fleeting Expertise for 60% ability efficiency and negative 60% ability duration. So, we're running with 95% duration, 105% efficiency, 100% range, and 276% power strength. We're also running Arcane Nullifier on the Arcane slot at rank 4, 85% chance to resist a magnetic status effect. And Arcane Energize at rank 2, of course, it's better to run at higher ranks. 60% on energy pickup, 60% chance to replenish 75 energy to self and allies within 15 meters, with a 15-second cooldown. Now, if we quickly go over Exalted Umbra Blade, we've got Exalted Blade, which is its stance mod. This comes with the weapon, so you can't change it or anything. We've got these two mods which come pre-installed as well. Sacrificial Steel for plus 275% critical chance and times 2 for heavy attacks. Times 1.7 damage to sentience. And then we've got Sacrificial Pressure, 137.5% melee damage and times 1.7 damage to sentience. Of course, it enhances both in the set. Condition Overload for 80% melee damage per status type effect in the target. Organ Shatter for 90% critical damage. We've got Berserker Fury for on melee kill, plus 35% attack speed for 10 seconds, stacks up to 2 times. Vicious Frost for 60% cold and 60% status chance. Virulent Scourge for 60% toxin, 60% status chance, and Volcanic Edge for 60% heat and 60% status chance. So we're rocking with a 56.2 times critical chance, with a 3.8 times critical multiplier, 42% status, and we're running heat and viral. Viral, of course, works with the slash to cut through health, and heat helps to cut through armor. So, without any further ado, let's jump into the mission. I will show you what this thing can do. Alright, as per usual, I'm here at Oxymoko in the Void, and I'll quickly explain why I'm here whilst I get energy. So I'm here at Oxymoko in the Void because the Void is one of the latest game areas of the Steel Path, meaning you get higher level enemies. Not to mention here, you're dealing with the Corrupted, and with the Corrupted, you're dealing with enemies with just health, enemies with health and shields, and enemies with high armor, giving you a more varied example of what your weapon / Warframe can do. I do want to point out as well, I label this as a Steel Path viable build. Whilst this build will definitely get you through the Steel Path, it is probably not the best build for getting to that level cap to the 9,999 enemies on the Steel Path, so if that's what you're after, probably look for a different video. But let's jump in. We've got Exalted Blade, we've got Gloom, and we're now going to start melting through every single enemy. Excalibur Umbra, of course, specializes or over-specializes in melee attacks, so you do want to primarily run melee with him. Of course, you can switch to any other weapon you want as well, as long as you've got a good build on it. and you should do absolutely fine. But this build, of course, rips through everything with melee. If you're wondering how well it does against acolytes, you will see as we get through, but it's pretty darn good. And of course, with melee being probably the strongest combat style, you're going to be getting quite a lot of damage off, and you're also going to be doing a lot of critical procs as well with this build, which is very nice. But of course, as you can see, we're not running into any problems. Even with high armored enemies, you'll see we don't run into any issues. The only complaint I have with exalted weapons like this is that you can't put any kind of arcanes on it, like melee arcanes or whatever, which is unfortunate because they would really help. But to be fair, like, you don't really run into any real issues, so I guess it's fine. The thing with exalted weapons is, with the right build on, they don't necessarily need an arcane to work. And because of that, you're not limited to any kind of like necessity to over specialize, I guess. So you can swap to other weapons if you choose to do so. Also, for anyone wondering what the next Warframe build is going to be, so I believe next week I'm going to be doing my rebuild for Necros Prime, because he's one of my favorites, and I'm still putting my build on him now, but it should be done by next week, so stay tuned for that if you want a new build for Necros, because I don't want it over 2 years. And it's definitely going to be a spicy build. But as per usual, we'll stay in the mission long enough to get to the Acolyte, just so you see what Excalibur Umbra can do to Acolytes. Now, of course, because this is an exalted weapon, it will be draining energy every single second. And it does drain quite quickly, but the cool thing is, if you carry around what I like to call energy pizzas, or if you get a lot of energy drops, like with Arcane Energize, you can basically keep it going in perpetuity, as in permanently. But of course, it really will dictate on your energy drops, as well as enemy drops and everything else. But it's not really a problem, because if you've got other weapons you can use whilst you get energy back, you're fine. But of course, as you can see, we are absolutely shredding everything. The cool thing is as well, like with subsumed abilities like Gloom, the energy is draining faster because of Gloom. You can, of course, turn that off to get slower drains whilst you get energy back. I mean, you only really need to activate Gloom when you do need a heal. And thankfully, with the armor you get with him, it's not as frequent that you need to heal. Like in this case, I'm going to because of that. But we'll just cut through the Eximus right there with a heavy attack and gone. And then, of course, when you don't need it anymore, you can just take it off to get more energy and then activate it when you need to. Like right now, for example, I don't need to activate Gloom because we're not really taking much in the way of any kind of major damage. Although I do hate the sections we have to parkour for like a minute to get to an enemy. And then, of course, we've got to parkour a bit more because there's no more enemies there. Boom. Very nice. And the cool thing as well is, because of how strong this build is naturally, you don't actually have to rely on heavy attacks that much. I only really use them for the Eximuses and heavily armored enemies, because whilst you can just rip through with normal attacks, like it'll take a little bit longer, you can, of course, just dominate them with a heavy attack. Especially if you've got a high combo multiplier, which will deal more damage anyway. But in that instance, we're also just going to turn Gloom off as well. Turn it back on to get... If there's a few enemies in here, I want to make sure they're slowed. Because the cool thing I love about Gloom, it's still one of my favorite abilities to subsume in general. Purely because of its slow effect. Not only do you gain lifesteal, but you also slow enemies within the radius based on your power strength. The more power strength you have, the slower they're going to get. And we slow them down to 95%, like, dropped 95% speed. So they are incredibly slow when coming across us. There's someone coming through here. Very nice. Jade Eximus and an Acolyte. Boom, Jade Xmas gone. I needed it gone because that's not fun. Right, we've got the Acolyte in. I don't know where they are. Where are they? Hello. Right, there goes all of their shields. And there goes the health. Well, just about anyway. And they cancelled my Exalted Blade, which is really annoying, but they're gone. So yeah. That's basically Excalibur Umbra in a nutshell. Really cool to use. Really fun to run around with and just decimate a bunch of enemies on the steel path. But let me know what you think about this build in the comments down below. Don't forget you can also support the channel even further by becoming a channel member from as little as 99 pence per month. You can of course support completely for free just by liking, commenting and subscribing because it really does help that YouTube algorithm. Don't forget I do live stream as well. When I go live here on YouTube and on Twitch. My streams here on YouTube are in the shorts form feed, more for mobile. If you want to catch the exact same streams at the exact same time in full 1080p, feel free to join me on Twitch. That link is in the description below.